Story 1. Bone marrow was delicious, but all I could think about afterward was someone cracking open one of my bones and slurping the insides. The visual bothered me so much that I can never eat it again. Story 2. I harvested a moose. My ex-girlfriend asked me when I butchered it to leave a lot of meat on the thigh bone and give it to her. Her family seasoned it, wrapped it in tin foil and baked it. We made bannock, a thick bread that contained shortening and salt. Once the bone was baked, they cut it in half lengthwise. We sliced a piece of bannock, buttered it with shortening, sliced a piece of meat off the bone, and added the moose bone marrow on top. Tasted like moose butter and was pretty good. I also ate moose nose and moose tongue. Story 3. Wasabi peanuts tasted great at first, but one strong hit of wasabi up my nose made me swear never again. Story 4. I had a peanut butter bacon burger once. It was delicious, and I was so full afterward that I couldn't eat for the rest of the day. It was too heavy, and I didn't want to have it again. I was also under the influence, and it never sounds appealing to my sober mind. Story 5. 20 years ago, I spent a year teaching English in Japan. The fast food chain there offered an Indian chicken sandwich. It consisted of a chicken breast smothered in curry sauce and served on naan. It was the best chicken sandwich I ever had. Story 6. I love Doritos, but my teeth aren't in the best shape anymore, and it usually hurts for a long time after I eat them. It's very disappointing, to be honest. Story 7. Pufferfish was delicious, but knowing how risky and toxic it can be if not prepared correctly, I would rather not take my chances again. Story 8. Fresh catch of the day mahi-mahi fish burger. Why won't I have it again? I was on a once-in-a-lifetime trip to Maui. I doubt I will ever be able to afford to go again. Story 9. Quail breast. I had the breast fillets in a risotto and ate them like popcorn chicken. After I had 6, it occurred to me that 3 quails died for me to enjoy them, similar to a drive home from a fast food restaurant. I have never felt guilty about eating meat before. Story 10. Filet mignon. I liked it but do not see the attraction of paying extra over a sirloin for such a small cut of beef. Story 11. I caught a rattlesnake by accident while fishing from my kayak and casting around a group of submerged trees. The 4-foot-long rattler was swimming between the trees when my lure snagged its side as I was retrieving it. Once I realized what it was and that it was attached to the end of my fishing line, I navigated to the shore, pinned its head to the ground with my paddle, and dispatched it. When I got home and my wife saw what it was, she suggested we cook and eat it. So we did. We had 2 very small children at the time who have never forgotten that experience or their mother's special gravy that accompanied it. Tasted like chicken, had a lot of ribs, but was otherwise very good. I have not had it since because if I see them in the wild, I make it a habit to leave them alone. But that one time, delicious. Story 12. I was once offered some sour cream and onion dried crickets. I won't lie, they tasted pretty good, but the texture made it clear I was eating bugs. I tried it just to say I did, liked it, but never again. Story 13. I had the best sweet potato casserole at Thanksgiving one year with a delicious crispy topping. It turned out there was bacon in the topping, and my family forgot to mention it until I was almost finished with my portion. It was really good, but I'm not changing my ways. Story 14. Fried squid. I had it on vacation when I was about 15. When I got home, I decided to try making it. The smell of the raw squid made me feel nauseous, so I ended up throwing it out. I knew I couldn't manage the nausea long enough to batter and fry it. The house also smelled bad for a while afterward. 25 years later, I still cannot imagine eating fried squid again because it reminds me of that day. Story 15. Eel and octopus. I have thoroughly enjoyed meals featuring both where I live, and I have also had both in Japan. The Japanese meals were significantly better than what is available to me here, often leaving me disappointed. That, along with my adoration for both animals, makes me struggle with the moral dilemma of eating animals in general. Even in Japan, I don't think I could. Perhaps one day I might make an exception, but many factors would have to align. Story 16. Some stew someone in a village made for me when I was on my second tour in Iraq. It was great, I've been trying to find out what the dish was for nearly a decade, but it was amazing. I won't be having it because I don't know what it was. Story 17. I have always disliked pickles and found them unpleasant. I wouldn't touch them. Then, about a month ago, I suddenly had a strange craving to smell pickles. Out of nowhere, I ordered a cubano from a sandwich shop, and it was so good that I ate it every day for about 2 weeks. Now, I can no longer look at pickles. Story 18. Pizza with octopus, pineapples, and clams. The place just closed, and nobody else makes pizzas like that. Story 19. Vodka hardened lemonade. 1 was delicious, but 7 was a mistake. I can barely drink lemonade now, let alone vodka. I'll stick to wine, thanks. Story 20. Beef tartare was surprisingly tasty. However, the texture and idea of eating this raw ground beef again does not interest me. Story 21. I had shark fin soup once when I was a very small child. It is no longer legal to sell in the United States. Tasted pretty good, to be honest. Story 22. Eel, particularly at Japanese restaurants, is coated in a sweet and savory sauce. However, I learned that most eel is fished in an unsustainable way, according to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Luckily, eggplant or tofu with eel sauce is still quite enjoyable. Story 23. It's a drink, but I tried civet coffee. It was a decent coffee, but only once for the experience. Story 24. Lobsters taste delicious, but I don't want to eat something that has to be boiled while it is still alive. Story 25. Shark meat was bycatch from a subsistence farmer friend and would have otherwise gone to waste. However, I no longer live anywhere I could obtain random shark without killing one or paying someone for it. Story 26. Elderflower sorbet with caviar, enjoyed many years ago at a Michelin-starred restaurant that is now closed, will never be forgotten. Story 27. Years ago, a friend of mine from Guatemala returned from a family visit with an amazing dessert that his mother had made and sent back with him. A group of us went on a camping trip and brought different foods to share. We enjoyed a delicious dinner and dessert while hanging out in our favorite spot in a beautiful mountain setting. I have no idea what it is called, but it was so good that I still think about it sometimes. Now my friend has moved back to Guatemala, and we lost touch since he doesn't use social media. I believe his mother has sadly passed away. Even if I knew what it was called and tried to find another version of it somewhere, it wouldn't be the same. Story 28. I think I ate dog once. I was at a market in the mountains of Southeast Asia a decade ago. I wasn't sure what meat was on top of my noodles because of the language barrier. So I pointed at another diner's dish and they gave it to me. It was delicious, and as I was eating, I saw them cutting meat off a leg. Later, while walking through the market where the stall was located, I saw dog meat that looked remarkably similar. I probably won't have it again, but it was tasty and filled my belly. Story 29. Natto. My Japanese tutor told me that most Americans do not like it. I felt that was a challenge, so I bought some. She was absolutely correct. It was like trying to eat smelling salts. I have had the fermented shark they sell in Iceland, and that was easier to swallow than natto. Story 30. My sister made delicious rice with some ingredients. My other sister and I enjoyed it immensely and asked for more. She mentioned there was additional rice, but we had to prepare it ourselves. The rice was available and we inquired about the ingredients. She informed us it was in a bag in the refrigerator. Upon closer inspection, we discovered it was tiny fish, dead and fried. You could see the fear in their appearance. I admit we tried it again, but the taste was not as enjoyable once I realized what it was. My new rule is that I would rather eat something tasty in pieces, so I cannot identify what it once was. Story 31. The Elvis is a small sandwich, but it doesn't compare to the real thing. You can't let something like that affect you and then act surprised when people judge your appearance. I understand it was due to substance use, but I see why Elvis left the building so soon. The same goes for a Luther burger. You can try it, but I wouldn't recommend making it a habit. It's best enjoyed once. Story 32. I got a sardine halfway in my mouth last week, and never again. It ended up in the dog's bowl because she loves them. Story 33. Raw oysters. My culinary school instructor knew someone who got a parasite that killed the person who ate oysters. I think of that every time and can't enjoy them anymore. Story 34. Deep-fried alligator on a stick is absolutely delicious, but it was from a food truck, and I haven't seen it since. Story 35. Steak cooked in a restaurant well done was actually pink. I choked on it, which scared my wife. I coughed it out, close call. My wife wouldn't have been able to perform the Heimlich maneuver on me due to arthritis, and the restaurant staff just stared at me while I choked. I ended up getting a free steak out of it. I'm not ordering steak anywhere again. Story 36. Tripas. I had never had a bad experience until I ate some at a family gathering with a woman I was dating at the time. I don't know what they did wrong. They probably didn't clean them thoroughly, but it tasted terrible, and I got very sick later that evening. Story 37. Deep-fried Mars bar. Although it's part of our reputation in Scotland for an unhealthy diet, I feel like it's not something that many of us eat regularly. It's more of a caricature of unhealthiness for tourists, although it sits alongside plenty of really unhealthy foods that are eaten more commonly, like deep-fried pizzas, fritter rolls, and haggis suppers. One time, a German friend was visiting and wanted to try it, so we ordered one. I had it then. It was sensational for the taste buds, but I could almost tangibly feel the regret my body was experiencing after ingesting it. Once was enough. Story 38. I had both frog legs and escargot at a French restaurant during a field trip with my high school French class. They tasted fine, but they are not dishes I would go out of my way to find or prepare myself. Story 39. Pork brains. Grandma told me they would cook the brains in scrambled eggs during the Great Depression. They tasted really good, but the thought of it made me nearly nauseous. Turtle soup. I was at a meeting where the meal was catered. It tasted like chicken, but I don't want to eat it because it comes from turtles. Lamb fries. I visited a local iconic steakhouse in Oklahoma, frequented by farmers, ranchers, and oil workers. They are big on steak. When I saw lamb fries, I thought it sounded good, like strips of lamb. A friend mentioned that she wasn't sure if these were the same, but calf fries are fried bull testicles. That sounded disgusting. I asked the waitress and she confirmed and offered me a sample. I thought, I'll never have another chance to eat this, so let's try it. I had sliced fried sheep testicles served with lemon and cocktail sauce. They tasted like a mix of oysters and chicken. Story 40. Snails in a delicious garlic sauce. I find snails, the living kind, to be quite unappealing. Story 41. Probably Dubai chocolate. It's nice, but it costs 16 pounds for a bar, and to be honest, it's very similar to Kinder Bueno, which is much cheaper. Story 42. Escargot is part of a 4-star multi-course meal, though I would never spend that much on food or likely find myself in such a situation. Nowadays, it seems that snails just give you brain worms. Story 43. Lychees. I bought a punnet to try when I was a teenager. They were delicious until my throat started swelling, and I couldn't breathe. Turns out I am severely allergic. Story 44. Fried animal brain was not bad. It had a taste similar to caviar. Fritto misto is a tradition in Italy, but I will not be eating fried animal parts again. Story 45. I was already hesitant about eating beef, mostly consuming chicken and seafood, with burgers on rare occasions. This experience solidified my decision. All I could picture was the cows at my local fair licking my hands. Story 46. Oh, a second one. Ill from anywhere. A cure for wellness traumatized me when I was around 10, and it went from being my favorite kind of sushi to thinking, this thing is going to crawl through my body. Story 47. Some foods in Thailand are delicious, especially dragon fruit. The imported ones here are not as good. Story 48. I had raw and still moving octopus in Korea. It was the best thing I have ever tried, but it is also very cruel. I would never do that again. Story 49. Shark steak. I was at a market in Zanzibar and they sold shark steak. It was very good, but after they told me what it was, I said I cannot eat this ever again. Story 50. I ate a peach for the first time at 7, and it almost killed me because I discovered I was allergic to it. Story 51. Monte Cristo sandwich. It was good for the first few bites, but after a certain point, the sweet flavor became too strong for my taste. I haven't eaten one since. Story 52. Real Christmas sugar plums were heavenly. Someone else made them, and I don't know how. I've looked at recipes, but they seem complicated and fiddly, which isn't horrible. I am just not sure which recipe would yield the same results as the ones I had. Story 53. I had escargot at a fancy French restaurant last year. It was surprisingly good, buttery, and garlicky. However, watching my date's reaction when I told him what it was killed any desire to order it again. Story 54. Foie gras has a rich texture, and bone marrow offers a unique quality. The Alaskan king crab served as an interesting element. However, the A5 Wagyu was notably good. Story 55. This amazing udon I ate at a restaurant once made me sick the next day, resulting in over 15 instances of vomiting, mostly bile. Story 56. Years ago, I tried a local delicacy called fried tarantula. I enjoyed its crunchy texture and nutty flavor, but I won't eat it again because the idea of consuming a spider still creeps me out, despite the tasty experience. Story 57. Oyster. I just had two. That same night, I experienced chills and green diarrhea. However, I hope to try it again. Story 58. Baked or grilled Brussels sprouts are the only way I have ever liked them, sprinkled with lemon pepper. My dad made them, but now he will never be able to make them again. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.